In 2020, before noon, rice was completely gone. By afternoon, canned goods had vanished. But sitting right there, untouched, fully stocked, were 12 specific foods that almost nobody talks about. I know, because I was watching. For the past 7 years, I've been quietly building a real emergency pantry. Not the overpriced freeze-dried kits, not the same survival packages everyone else buys. I went looking for foods that are affordable, nutritious, long-lasting, and most importantly, still available when everyone else is panic buying. What I found surprised me. These 12 foods are hiding in plain sight at your regular supermarket. Combined, they can provide tens of thousands of calories, enough to feed a family for weeks, without breaking the bank. One of them costs under $1 and outperforms emergency kits that cost 50 times more. And number 4? It's fed entire civilizations for thousands of years, yet almost no one in the prepper community mentions it. Let's get into it. 1. Lentils. Lentils are, without question, the single most efficient emergency food you can store. Here's why. Under $2 per pound, 18 grams of protein per cooked cup, 30-plus year shelf life when stored properly, and they cook faster than any other dried legume, no soaking required. They provide iron, folate, and complex carbohydrates that sustain energy for hours. They're used in cuisines across every continent, meaning they adapt to whatever else you're cooking. And, during supply disruptions, they're consistently among the last items to disappear because most shoppers walk right past them. Lentils are the underdog of emergency food storage, and once you understand the numbers, they're impossible to ignore. 2. Canned sardines. Here's where modern preppers consistently miss the mark. While everyone rushes for canned tuna, sardines sit quietly on the shelf, and they're actually the smarter nutritional choice. A single can contains over 20 grams of protein, omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and vitamin D. The soft bones add even more calcium when other sources aren't available. They last 3 to 5 years without refrigeration, cost a fraction of other canned proteins, and work in pasta, salads, crackers, rice dishes, and sandwiches. Stock them as part of your everyday rotation, and you'll always have a fresh supply ready. 3. Rolled oats. Oats are the quiet workhorse of long-term food storage, and almost nobody gives them enough credit. Stored in sealed, airtight containers, rolled oats can last up to 30 years. They cook fast, require minimal fuel, and provide a solid combination of complex carbohydrates, fiber, and protein that keeps energy stable throughout the day. They're also one of the most affordable sources of calories you can buy, often less than $1 per pound in bulk. Eat them as porridge, use them as a flour substitute, press them into energy bars, or add them to soups as a thickener. During the peak of pandemic panic buying, rolled oats were consistently one of the last items to sell out, because most people overlook them. That's exactly why they belong on this list. 4. Whole wheat grains. This is the one that surprises people most, and it shouldn't. Whole wheat grains, properly stored in sealed containers with oxygen absorbers, last 25 to 30 years. They cost almost nothing per pound. And they're extraordinarily versatile. Grind them into fresh flour, cook them like rice, sprout them for nutrition, or plant them to grow more food. Entire civilizations have been built on this grain for thousands of years. It's calorie-dense, filling, and endlessly adaptable. If you only add one bulk item to your pantry, this is the strongest case for it. 5. Miso paste. Miso is fermented soybeans and grain, and that fermentation is what makes it so valuable. It's rich in probiotics that support digestion and immune function, which becomes critical when you're eating differently, under stress, or in less than ideal conditions. Thanks to its high salt content and fermentation process, miso keeps for months to years in the refrigerator. It adds deep flavor to soups, sauces, marinades, rice, and eggs. But here's what people don't talk about enough. A warm bowl of miso soup in a difficult moment does something for morale that no calorie count can measure. 6. Nutritional yeast. This is not the same as bread yeast, and that distinction matters. Nutritional yeast is a deactivated ingredient packed with B vitamins, including B12, one of the hardest nutrients to maintain when meat and dairy are scarce. It has a cheesy, nutty flavor that makes plain rice, pasta, and vegetables genuinely satisfying. Stored in an airtight container, it lasts for years and costs very little per serving. In a prolonged food disruption, comfort and nutrition together are a rare combination. Nutritional yeast delivers both. 7. Dried mushrooms. This is the flavor multiplier that most emergency pantries are missing. Stock a variety, shiitake, porcini, oyster, and wood ear, and you get vitamins B and D, selenium, and potassium, plus something that's genuinely hard to replace. Umami, that deep, savory richness that makes rice and soup feel like a real meal instead of survival rations. Dried mushrooms last 5 to 10 years, take up minimal space, and rehydrate easily. Even the soaking water becomes a rich broth base. In a long-term scenario, these quietly transform everything else you're cooking. 8. Dried chickpeas. Buy these in bulk at Middle Eastern or South Asian grocery stores, and you'll often pay under $2 per pound. Stored in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, dried chickpeas can retain full nutritional value for 20 to 30 years. They deliver around 15 grams of protein per cooked cup, plus fiber, iron, and folate, and they're remarkably versatile. Cook them whole, blend them into hummus, toast them as a snack, grind them into flour, or sprout them fresh. Few foods offer this combination of price, nutrition, longevity, and flexibility. 9. Vinegar. One bottle isn't enough, and that's where most people go wrong. The smarter move is stocking multiple varieties. White vinegar for cleaning and preserving, apple cider vinegar for cooking and health support, and rice or wine vinegar for flavoring. Vinegar lasts essentially forever, enables you to pickle and preserve other foods, and adds variety to repetitive meals, something that matters enormously for morale during prolonged disruptions. Cheap, compact, and endlessly useful. This is one of the best dollar-for-dollar pantry investments you can make. 10. Unflavored powdered gelatin. This is one of the most overlooked protein sources in any emergency pantry. Unflavored gelatin contains roughly 6 grams of protein per serving, requires 0 refrigeration, and when stored properly, lasts for years. It's not glamorous, but when protein sources are running low, this quiet little powder earns its place. It also contains amino acids that support joint and gut health, which matters when your body is under physical or psychological stress. Dozens of servings for just a few dollars. Almost no one buys it, which means it's almost always on the shelf. 11. Duck fat. Hear me out before you scroll past this one. Duck fat is calorie-dense, stores exceptionally well in sealed glass jars kept cool and dark, and can last years without going rancid the way many cooking oils do. In a high-stress or high-exertion situation, your body needs serious fuel, and duck fat delivers. It also makes even the simplest foods taste significantly better, which matters more than people realize when morale is low and meals are repetitive. 12. Cream of tartar. Most people walk right past this little container and have no idea what it does. Here's the thing. Cream of tartar combined with baking soda creates homemade baking powder. That means bread, pancakes, and flatbreads, even when yeast is completely unavailable. It's inexpensive, takes up almost no space, and, stored in an airtight container, lasts indefinitely. For something that costs a couple of dollars, the utility is remarkable. None of this requires panic. None of it requires a major investment. These 12 foods are affordable, widely available, and useful in everyday cooking, which means there's no downside to having them on hand whether an emergency happens or not. The goal is simple: Be the household that's quietly prepared while everyone else is scrambling. Which of these surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. If this was useful, share it with someone who'd want to know. And subscribe, because the best preparation starts well before you need it.